Today, we're going to break down the absolutely shocking story of Ola Electric. We're going to explore how the undisputed leader of India's EV revolution went from total market dominance to, well, a bit of a cautionary tale. The numbers tell a fascinating story, so let's just dive right in.
So, where does a story like this even begin? It all kicks off with this one kind of horrifying number, minus 71%. That is the staggering year-on-year drop in sales Ola Electric saw back in November 2025. You know, this isn't just a slump, it's a giant red flag for a full-blown collapse in demand.
And a sales crash like that, yeah, it's going to have an immediate and pretty brutal impact on their market position. Ola Electric, which was sitting comfortably at number 1, didn't just slip, it plummeted down to 5th place. Meanwhile, you've got legacy players like TVS and Bajaj and rivals like Ather just surging right past them. The whole EV landscape got redrawn in just a few months.
So, you gotta be asking the obvious question, right? How on earth does this happen? How does a company at the absolute peak of its power lose its momentum so dramatically and just so quickly?
Well, the answer is kind of simple, but also incredibly complex. It all started with the one thing that matters most, the product itself. You see, the first signs of trouble weren't in some boardroom or on the stock market. Nope, they were out there on the streets, with the very scooters that were supposed to be the future.
Okay, let's really dig into the cracks that started to appear in the product. We're talking about fundamental, deep-seated engineering and safety issues that just created this cascade of failures, which ultimately just crippled the company's reputation. It really makes you wonder, why would you rush a product to market with these kinds of problems? Was it just the pressure to be number 1?
And the range of problems people were reporting was just staggering. We're not talking about minor cosmetic stuff here. Customers started reporting a truly terrifying list of critical failures. Things like front forks just collapsing mid-ride, batteries spontaneously catching fire, and software bugs that put riders in very, very real danger.
Let's zero in on one of the most severe issues, the front fork collapse. This was a catastrophic structural flaw where the front wheel could literally just detach while someone was riding. The problem was so serious it led to a massive, though kind of quietly handled, silent recall of more than 200,000 scooters.
And it wasn't just the hardware. The software had its own demons. There was this one particularly dangerous bug that caused a scooter to just suddenly accelerate in reverse without any warning. This quote here is from the son of a 65-year-old man who was severely injured because of this exact glitch. It just goes to show how high the stakes really were.
And then came the fires. After a video went viral showing an Ola scooter just bursting into flames on a busy street in Pune, the company was basically forced to issue its first official recall. This number, 1,441, that represents the number of vehicles from that specific batch that had to be brought back for inspection.
So with this tidal wave of faulty products hitting the market, what do you think was the next system to buckle under the pressure? Yep, it was Ola's after-sales service. You know, a great product can survive a few flaws, but a flawed product with no support system, that is just a recipe for disaster.
And the evidence is right here in the numbers. In just 1 year, more than 10,000 official complaints were filed by frustrated customers on the National Consumer Helpline. That's 10,644 people whose problems were so bad they felt they had to escalate them to a government agency.
And for so many of those customers, this is what the experience felt like. They were just trapped in a service black hole. A simple breakdown on day 1 would turn into this frustrating month-and-a-half-long ordeal, with scooters just sitting in service centers for weeks on end, waiting for parts, waiting for a simple phone call.
The situation on the ground was pure chaos. Service centers were totally overwhelmed, they were facing severe parts shortages, and it led to this pretty shocking practice. Technicians were reportedly cannibalizing parts, literally stripping them from one customer's scooter just to get another one back on the road.
The service failures got so bad that the consumer courts had to step in. In one case, the Bangalore Consumer Commission actually fined Ola for charging a customer for repairs that were clearly covered under their warranty, giving this pretty stern reminder that a warranty is a promise, not just a suggestion.
So, this perfect storm of product failures and a total service collapse was bound to get some official attention. And pretty soon, unhappy customers became the least of Ola's worries because government regulators started launching their own investigations.
And all of a sudden, Ola was fighting a war on multiple fronts. The CCPA launched a probe into all those consumer rights violations. The ARAI started investigating a mismatch in sales figures, which could have huge implications for government subsidies. And get this,
Even the DRDO, the Defense Research Agency, was called in to investigate the battery fires.
And the fallout wasn't just regulatory. The anger on the streets absolutely reached a boiling point. In one really extreme case, a frustrated customer actually set a showroom on fire. Videos of fights at service centers went viral, and customers started organizing mass protests, demanding a complete stop to all new sales.
Unsurprisingly, all of this turmoil sent massive shockwaves through the financial markets. Investor confidence just completely evaporated. The company's stock price crashed by nearly 60% in 2025 alone, wiping out billions of dollars in valuation.
Okay, so you're facing a full-blown crisis on every single front: product, service, regulatory, financial. So the question becomes, what's next? How is Ola Electric even planning to try and turn this massive ship around?
Well, the company announced a major strategic pivot. The new plan is to shift focus away from that crazy hypergrowth model and move towards actual profitability. They're doubling down on their ambitious battery gigafactory, they're expanding into the home energy market, and they're launching a new and hopefully more reliable third-generation scooter.
But this pivot is being met with let's call it a healthy dose of skepticism. And for good reason. You've got their claims, and then you have reality. The company has a history of missing its own aggressive deadlines for the gigafactory, pushing the timelines back again and again. And now they're trying to enter a new market that's built on trust, home energy, at the exact time when their credibility with consumers is at an all-time low.
So, it all leads to this one final crucial question. With its reputation in tatters, fierce rivals surging past them, and a whole bunch of ambitious promises they have yet to fulfill, can this once dominant market leader pivot fast enough to truly recharge its future, or has it just run out of spark for good?